Gloria, did you hear? I'm reviewing the new Homeboy Sandman album, Dusty. What do you think about it? You're just hungry, aren't you? Welcome back to Phantom. I'm your host, insert name here. In today's review, I'll be reviewing Dusty, the new album by New York rapper Homeboy Sandman, produced entirely by Mono and Stereo. I became aware of this really creative rapper and artist when he opened for Aesop Rock way back in the day when I saw him live. I immediately fell in love with his style. Sand has some of the weirdest lyrics and most off-kilter flows I've heard from a rapper, and a super distinct style that I don't think anyone could replicate if they tried. Dusty gets its name from the idea that this album is for Sand to dust off his impulses and desires that he's kept tucked away for a long time and let them out, as Sand says himself, for better or for worse. It's a stream of consciousness album that considers both complex, life-questioning themes as well as simple indulgences. And I think this range in lyricism, as well as his production style and flow construction, really lets the album shine through as this varied divulgence of the psyche. Songs are short and concise, and they never overstay their welcome for a satisfying 35-minute listen. This production, using various samples and drum elements, ends up coming through with a bunch of different musical influences, including jazz, soul, rock, swing, and a little bit of funk sometimes. A lot of the production has a real laid-back and chill vibe, yet experimental feel to it, given how Sand flows over a lot of the beats. I think the best songs on this album for me are the ones that really contemplate different facets of life. The two songs Noteworthy and Wondering Why really illustrate this, but Noteworthy is more heady and conceptual with the ponderings, while Wondering Why is really surface level, a bit more simple and a bit funny, and I think both songs have a strong place on the album. Noteworthy in particular is really great. I love all the different messages about life here over the soft working keys and lo-fi drums. The lyrics are simply things that he's observed over the years that he thinks are noteworthy. Some of the points are pretty complex and layered, and I think the varied repetition of him saying the word noteworthy at the end of each 4 bars is great. A few of the sections stand out to me like, just as with any plant that grows roots, all of my adventures from the center of a closed loop. Sometimes a point becomes more poignant as it grows moot. Noteworthy. Kind of discussing the ideas of repetition and how beating a dead horse has a stigma against it, but sometimes we need to do that to be able to carry across a point valid enough. Apples and oranges are both sweet and both round when reference is made to comparing fruit. Ignoring simple truths, communications broke down. Just because things are in different facets doesn't mean we can't compare them or try to contrast them. Stressing the importance of communication in daily life and how when it breaks down, so does any semblance of having a real fruitful discussion. And similarly, Wondering Why, I like how he uses the sample, and I like how mundane some of the musings are on here. Like, why is it hard to find normal cashews? There's a lot of notions on here that I personally really vibe with, like, why do you sit there if you got the whole train? Why do you make plans when you know you're gonna flake? Shit that just infuriates me. Another type of track you can find on here are the quirky up-tempo tracks where Sand spits crazy lyrics and a quirky flow. Yes, Aya is really great. I love the energy this track brings, both in the instrumental and the vocals. There's a lot of different kinds of drums that come in at a really high tempo. I love how much he's saying and how he raps in such an off-kilter flow to say it. It reminds me of New York, which was on his album Kindness for Weakness. And there's a bunch of long rhyme schemes in here. There's a bunch of really cool things he goes into, like discussing life on other planets, how he approaches his goals in life, and his place in the music industry, and how it parallels his role in school growing up. And then Lookout is also a great song. Great quirky beats, lots of humorous lyrics, and great features from Ural Droog and Quille Chris. There's just so many hilarious lines here, like one feature had me ineligible for Medicaid, what a guy gotta do to move his comments to the east, I don't barely move except for coochie and for bread. The only real kind of lull in this album for me are the songs about his love and sex life that are back to back. I do respect the mood that he creates on Picture on the Wall with the sample and his pretty down-to-earth stories and compliments about his significant other. That being said, the details of his sexual encounters do nothing for me, as they rarely do in hip-hop unless it's done in a really abstract, poetic way. Then the other song, Pussy, is literally a love song dedicated to pussy, and while a few lines here are kind of clever and endearing, and Sand comes off as pretty funny here, most of it is just difficult for me to listen to, as I mentioned earlier. Not to mention it breaks my cardinal sin of hip-hop by sampling sex noises on the song. Like I said, there are some funny lyrics here, like, in any non-pussy situation, pussy's what's missing, but always pussy with permission. Very rigid on that provision, it's just a given. Mad respect, Sand, for putting a line about consent in your rap about sex. There's some great lyrics on other songs, like on the song Far Out. Passion of the pasteurized processed cheese foods, I don't want to be associated with these dudes. Take a peek inside the dossier of a recluse who ain't gonna pretend a serving size as a teaspoon. Just the way he's able to construct a lot of these rhyme schemes and put it on in a flow that really plays with where lines are ending and starting. It's great. On the song Name, I love how he flows over a squeaking saxophone. I love how he considers and states his identity both as a rapper and as a human with specific values. And he exists as this very complex individual with his own intentions, and as the hook states, his identity will never be properly understood or explained by listeners. Step Inside is one of my favorites. I love how the instrumental drags, yet Sand flows so smoothly over it, and a bunch of great internal rhyme. Questionable divulgences of his STDs, which supports the idea of this album, I suppose. But there's also some dope lyrics on here, like, I used to write a chorus in accordance with the rules and regulations, now I'm banner out the gamma radiation, waving banners for oranges at the Apple store. Talking about oranges and apples a lot, aren't we? And finally, Live and Breathe is a really great track. I love the funky and wobbly guitar on the beat. The lyrics kind of seem to be his version of a diss track, where he's expressing to someone why he is better than them in every way. Even how he sleeps and eats. The difference between you and me could fill the sun and earth, moon and the sea. And then later on, take a sec to reconsider what you're thinking, for you sinking like a submarine. Someplace I will not agree to keep you company. No losers in my lucid dream. Good job hitting the table, Ray. It's great TV. As I expected to, I loved this album. There's no one else doing what Homeboy Sandman is doing right now. This album is really concise. It's ranged in terms of being super complex and also very personal and mundane at times, which I think is a good representation of what a person like Homeboy Sandman truly is on the inside. Mad respect for being able to put together an album like this and dusting everything off.
Dispensing product. Shutting down.
Okay, good. I was recording.